The man took his fiancée to see the house where they would live together. However, when the woman stepped through the door of the villa, she was shocked to realize that the house was, in fact, her own villa. Upon entering, the first thing she did was send a message to her father asking about it. When her father saw the message, he immediately became furious. He realized that his daughter had most likely been deceived by a man without scruples. So he quickly called his bodyguards and assistants and ordered them to go to the villa. It turned out that the woman's true identity was that of a billionaire's daughter. But in order to be with this man of questionable character, she had hidden her real background and had claimed her father was just a laborer. However, the man, trying to take further advantage of her, had rented a villa and pretended it was their future marital home. But just as they entered the villa, the future mother-in-law pulled out the family rulebook and asked the girl to memorize it carefully. Not only would she receive no dowry, but she would also be required to quit her job and stay at home to take care of her mother-in-law. Hearing these strange demands, the girl calmly asked if they didn't seem too harsh. To her surprise, the mother-in-law added a new condition. She said that since the girl came from a humble background, she should cut all ties with her father. Otherwise, she would not be allowed to be listed in the family's genealogy. The girl, her face filled with a shock, turned to her fiancé and asked what that meant. To her dismay, her fiancé agreed with his mother. Without hesitation, he told her that since her father was a laborer, he didn't deserve to be his father-in-law. Then he handed her a stack of disownment papers, asking her to sign them. But the girl, upon receiving the papers, threw them to the ground in anger and refused the marriage on the spot. Shamelessly, the fiancé told her he had spent all his savings on the house and that if they broke up, he'd have to repay a $50,000 loan. That was the last straw for her. She lost control and began yelling at them, saying that none of them were even human. They discriminated against farmers, yet ate rice grown in the fields. The mother-in-law, furious, was left speechless. The fiancé, enraged, raised his hand and slapped the girl, demanding that she kneel and apologize. Upon seeing his true colors, she immediately took off her ring and walked out without a second thought. However, the fiancé had no intention of letting her go. He grabbed her forcefully and swore she would pay for it. At that moment, the billionaire and his bodyguards stormed into the villa. Tears in her eyes, the girl told her father everything that had happened. The fiancé, still unaware of the identity of the man he had offended, assumed he was just a laborer too. He began insulting him, calling him a worker, claiming he had no right to be there. Then, he tried to call the police to have him arrested. Without hesitation, the billionaire slapped the mother-in-law across the face. The fiancé, shocked, tried to attack the billionaire, but he was knocked down with a single punch. Then the billionaire revealed the man's true identity. It turned out that he owned so many properties, he had assigned one of his assistants to manage them. What he didn't know was that the assistant had rented one of his villas to the fiancé. Furious, the billionaire immediately